Hello fellow gamers, welcome to Azreality Gaming. My name is Dustin, and today we're going to be doing a review of Lost Ark and its first week in release. I did get a chance to play the early access and then part of the public release obviously, and I just want to give you my thoughts on where I think the game's going and how it's been doing so far. Let's get into it. Lost Ark recently had a huge release. It had over 1 million concurrent viewers on Steam, and even on Twitch there was at least almost over 800,000 streamers watching it at any given time this last week. So clearly it was a big game. So the question is, why has this Korean-born MMO become so popular in America and Europe? Well, I believe that the reason behind that is we haven't had a big release of games like this in a long time. Don't get me wrong, there's been games like Torchlight, Last Epoch, Wolcen, and of course the big boys like Path of Exile and Diablo. But the latter two haven't really done anything totally new to their system in quite a while. Only added content through seasons, which is still a great way to draw players in and keep their content interesting, but a brand new game with a new system on a scale like this, no, hasn't been done for a long time. I think that is why I believe Lost Ark has taken off so well. This is a style of game that players today really enjoy and want to play more of. I might be showing a little bit of favoritism as I'm a big fan of top-down isometric RPG/MMOs. I've played Diablo consistently for at least a couple decades now, and Path of Exile for a couple of years when the seasons were cool. Lost Ark is kind of a hybrid of both of these games. You have an action, gore, and stories that's similar to Diablo, while the super detailed mechanics and character builds of Path of Exile. Lost Ark isn't easy, but, neither is it super hard. The game starts kind of slow, doing fetch quests, killing monsters, etc. But the game starts to open up about 2 hours in, and you start to see the depth the game has to offer, and how many different systems run in parallel just to leveling up. All the different ways to increase your character's power, grow your stronghold. There's honestly so much stuff to take in that I would say that this is one of the negatives of the game. It's almost too much. When the game first released in Korea in 2019, I imagine there was a relatively simpler system. But over the years, Smilegate, the creators of Lost Ark, have added content at an alarming rate, building the depth and complexity of the game, adding new characters to play, stronger dungeons, raids, towers, cubes, etc., etc., etc. The list goes on. So when the game first released, they didn't have all of the things to confuse and distract a new player starting today. The North America, Europe release didn't give us everything that is in the current Korean version, thank God, but just enough to keep us satiated. I think they learned that from previous game releases that failed to make sure to add enough in-game content to keep us all busy for the next few months, while they plan the next release or season, which will bring us more current with the Korean version. I like this approach, and I hope they continue to add content at a pace that the demand matches. This past week I was part of the early access, or the paid access, and then part of the public release. One downside to this public release was a debacle with their infrastructure right before they were getting ready to release or launch. A few hours before, Amazon Game Studios decided to do a quick patch, which they have never done before on live servers, with the complexity that is in place with this game. As a result, the worst possible scenario happened, and they couldn't bring back up the servers in time for the 9 a.m. Pacific time release window. And they didn't get them back up for 7 hours. 7 hours, let that sink in for a moment. That's a long time to be waiting for your game to come out when you already thought it was going to come out on time. I've been part of most major game releases since the days of Ultima Online, EverQuest, and New World, and I know what to expect. I know that no release is perfect, and in fact, usually a disaster. But the whole time during the 3-day head start, the game was stable and working well. Why on earth would someone decide to do a small patch right before the release? On a Friday, no less. Most software studios and developers know that you don't release anything big before a weekend, and especially before a major release. You don't look, sneeze, or breathe on the code, and especially on a Friday. That's just stupid. You're asking your team to be able to stay over for the whole weekend. While the 7-hour delay wasn't the end of the world, of course, there are trolls out there in the world that like to bitch and moan that they couldn't play this free game on time when they wanted to. Evidently, they have small memories, or have never experienced a game release before to know that these things happen. They go on the forums or on Steam to post negative reviews and bitch and moan about their poor lives. I kind of find this humorous and enlightening of the player base as the world today. It does give me much confidence for the future of game players, but alas, I digress. Let's get back into Lost Ark. Lost Ark has been a blast to play. I've had to spend a fair amount of time researching and learning how to do some of this advanced mechanics, like engraving or honing your gear, because the quests in the game just don't do a good job of explaining it. Dungeons have been fun, and I especially like the part where you get to own your own ship and crew and traverse the world looking for islands and treasure to further the quests and advance the storyline and your character's power levels. This reminded me a lot of Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire, where you have ship-to-ship pirate battles and mechanics. If you've ever played that game, you know what I'm talking about. I decided to play on West Coast servers as I wanted a better ping time and little to no queues. Most of my friends and guildies wanted to join East Coast servers where all the popular guild streamers are playing. My opinion? Fuck that. I stand by my decision, and I will make friends and join a guild on the West Coast. Although I do miss my friends on the other servers, I think in time they will realize that once all the streamers stop playing and the big guilds get bored and move on to other games, they will be left alone with no community, while servers on the West will have created their own from scratch. Speaking of community, so far it has been great, and if you decided to play this game, be sure to be active in that space. It really enriches the experience the game has to offer. So in closing, Lost Ark had a bit of an issue getting the servers up in time for public release, but since then things have been smooth. The game is very enjoyable, and I keep coming back every day for more. I really enjoy the different mechanics of the game, and especially the open world ship scenarios. The storyline is long and has a lot of depth to keep you playing for a long time. If you haven't given Lost Ark a try yet, you should. It's really a good game. If you've already been playing Lost Ark, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Did Amazon ruin their rep by debacling that release? Are you happy with the in-game content of Tier 3 and the little bit that we do have right now? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, of course, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more Lost Ark content, let me know in the comments below. I only plan on doing this one video as just kind of an impressions video, but I'm happy to do more if the community wants more of these kind of things. Other than that, make sure to subscribe. I do lots of retro to modern day game content, game hunting videos, tips and tricks. And if you like these kinds of things, we probably got a lot in common, and we'll get along just fine. With that being said, be excellent to each other, keep on gaming, and we'll see you next time.